CNN has gone from 0 to Breitbart in 30 seconds. I love this. When wokeness comes to Middle Earth, why some say diverse casting ruins the new Lord of the Rings series. I love this because they were like, hey, last time, like in the Gamergate era and the lead up, in the build up to like Obama, yeah, a lot of right-wing content creators made a lot of money. And they were like, we need to get in on that shtick. We need to get in on that pretty hard. We can't let Sargon of Akkad make all the money. We got to make that money ourselves. They went from over-the-top pandering and being like, every elf needs to be trans and a person of color, an elf of color, and disabled, to actually, we realize that diversity is our weakness. It's not a strength. And hit the 14 words so fucking quick. It's crazy. And guess what? You have no commitment to any sort of cause whatsoever. And also representative politics and diversity in representation only goes so far. But that was the reason why liberals were on board with it. You know what I mean? I'll just say it like this. I do not give a single flying fuck whether there are black elves or not. It's fake. It's not real. Who cares? Who cares if there are black elves? Why the fuck would you care? Are you out of your mind? As long as the content is good, who gives a shit? Good thread on diversity on shows and how accurate they are. Tyrion Lannister was specifically described as one green eye, one black eye peered out from under a lank fall of hair so blonde it seemed white. There was no outcry when he showed up on the show looking like this. In the Harry Potter books, Ron is tall as the twins. Harry had green and messy hair. Hermione had noticeably large teeth. All mentioned several times in act as plot points. Movie, average height Ron. Neat hair, blue eyes Harry. Average teeth Hermione. No one cared. And the Princess Bride, Vizzini is described as having near angelic face. Movie. Yeah, people take liberties with what they decide to do. They say that there was never a black person on Lord of the Rings. No, I know. I understand that. No, I get that, like, Tolkien intended for it to be mostly an Anglo-Saxon experience devoid of any sort of black person. But ultimately, here's my counter to that. Who cares? I mean, actually, who cares? Ultimately, though, you can't do just like pandering diversity shit and not actually make the content good. Especially when we're in a goddamn content drought. It's an adaptation anyway. You can change stuff. It's not supposed to be one-to-one. I know. I thought we had these conversations so many times. And it's wild that it's coming back again. I'm not racist. I just care about historical accuracy. I say about a TV show that includes hobbits and elves. Above my desk hangs a painting of Jesus who looks like Bradley Cooper. It's also completely not true. There are POC all throughout the Lord of the Rings universe. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about the actual legitimate, Tolkien fan fiction or the facts of the matter. But the Harfoots, the most numerous of hobbit strains, were also the smallest. They had nut brown skin and hair, nut brown. They loved hill lands and often enjoy the company of dwarves. These Harfoots were the first of the Hobbit to cross over to the Misty Mountains and enter Eriador. Yeah, okay, so here's another thing, okay? In a lot of instances, these people are just upset that, like, the black and brown representation is not on the evil side. Let's be real. There's going to be a lot of stuff here that, from people with a genuine underlying resentment towards people of color as a consequence of white supremacist constructs that they were born into, that they were raised in, that environment that they were raised in, where they ultimately have these kinds of resentments, and they're trying to express it in this way where they're like, wow, I can't believe they made, positive black and brown characters. It's just such a weird fucking thing to get mad at, brother. You're crazy. And I think people were mad that, like, there was a female elf too. Like, the main character is, like, now a woman. Of course, unacceptable. And some Hunger Games fans are upset that the character of Rue is black. Racist Hunger Games fans are very disappointed. A blog just about pointed out a Tumblr site called Games Tweets. While some of the comments were mere surprise, others were more opinionated. Why does Rue have to be black? Not gonna lie, kind of ruined the movie. Both of those accounts appear to have been deleted from Twitter since Jezebel called out the posts. Rue's skin color should have hardly been a secret. In addition to being spelled out in the book, Stenberg and Kravitz were among those pictures as individual character posters. So she's black in the book and people were still mad? I don't understand. Elon said Tolkien is turning in his grave. Wait, stop. You mean to tell me that South African Elon Musk had a take on this? Where he said it's unacceptable that there are positive black characters and brown characters on the Lord of the Rings baby book? Oh no, this is ruined. Not my favorite book that I read as a kid. No, not my favorite fantasy. No, it's like, dude, chill the fuck out. Or was it a debate where he says almost every male character so far is a coward, a jerk, or both? Only Galadriel is brave, smart, and nice. That's a nice debate. He's like, it's not because of the black characters. It's because of the woman character. Where everyone needs to chill. They literally race changed L. Ron Hubbard and no one is complaining. Yeah, it's L. Ron Hoyabembe. You best watch what you say. Oh, my science. I'm about to lose my rockers. Lord of the Rings universe is too advanced for you to understand. People are freaking out about House of Dragons having black people too. Yeah, I mean, dude, hey, newsflash, guys. Black people exist in society. That's crazy. So, like, maybe newer versions of, older works of art are probably going to, reflect that. Well, I mean, I'm not saying George R. Martin's work of art is that old, but, like, sometimes people decide to go a certain way with their representation. It's not the fucking, not the end of the world. Especially when it comes down to a book, which is like oftentimes written by a much tighter group of individuals, like a much smaller group of individuals, which does not open itself up to a fuckload of different points of view on how that content should be created, which actually makes it really good, in my opinion. Writing a book can be a very selfish, singular, private matter. You know what I mean? And when you do that, you're not going to get a lot of feedback necessarily. It's like almost entirely up to the individual. And for that reason, it can be beautiful. It can be, it can really give you a peek into the mind of someone who's truly brilliant, truly creative. But it can also lead to shortcomings, like making all the fucking bad characters black and brown. You know what I mean? Like, because your individual blind spots are also going to be represented and reflected in the material. Now, when another creative person and a much larger creative group of individuals get to work and recreate this work of art, they're going to put their own seasoning on it, and it's normal. So that's how it works. So, yeah, that's my take. White people always fucking up any non-Caucasian names at the moment they start talking about Lord of the Rings. They're rolling their R's and nailing names with accents, umlauts, and hyphens in them like their lives dependent on it. The take from Tamur, friend of the show. There's a GMA clip about racism facing a black actor in House of Dragon, too.
Corliss Valerian, a lead character played by Steve Toussaint, whose casting has put a micro-slice of the audience on tilt, appalled, it seems, at the sight of a black actor front and center in a fantasy drama.
This is fiction. This is a made-up world. This is a made-up family. This is not rooted in reality, so characters can actually be Black, white, Asian, Latinx. They can be all types of people.
The British acting standout, speaking out about the invective that's targeted him, telling The Hollywood Reporter he didn't feel like his being cast was a bigger deal until I was racially abused on social media. While to Men's Health, House of the Dragon's Toussaint underscoring the absurdity of those objecting. It seems to be very hard for people to swallow. They are happy with a dragon flying, but a rich black guy? That's beyond the pale.
The thing I can't comprehend often, this is like low-key a more complicated subject to broach than just like, oh, this is racist and let's move on. Or, oh, diversity is good across the board and let's move on. Obviously, diverse representation is a good thing, right? But the issue is, oftentimes companies will do female Ghostbusters. And what do I mean by female Ghostbusters? Most of you immediately picked up on what I was saying, which is, let's take Ghostbusters and just put women in it. Let's not do anything. Like, let's not do anything different or new. It's such a hacky and easy way to try to reshape the content. It's such a hacky, it's so performative. Everyone understands what's going on there. And you're just not doing anything. You're recycling IP. People are annoyed when you recycle IP regardless. And they get extra annoyed because, misogyny makes it even additionally annoying for a lot of people, right? So my point always is like, make it good. That's the best way to fucking destroy people. One of the greatest examples of diverse representation, in my opinion, is from a formative work that I love personally called Avatar: The Last Airbender. Some of you will say there was a live action rendition of that, and to them I say that's not real. That never happened. No one ever shot a Avatar: The Last Airbender live action rendition. I'm talking about the cartoon, right? Avatar: The Last Airbender had brown characters, black characters, leads, you know what I mean? Indigenous characters. Avatar: The Last Airbender did a really decent job, in my opinion, of like having a disabled character. One of the main characters was literally fucking disabled, blind. One of the best characters, Toph. At the time, people were not fucking freaking out about that as much. And it was an anti-imperialist work, obviously, so that was great. We had it. If they'd made Avatar: The Last Airbender now, I feel like a lot of people that get mad about this shit would probably still turn around and be like, blind character? That's bullshit. I'm not watching. Fuck that. The diversity is ruining it. Half the cast has to be brown. Get the fuck out of here, right? It's woke HasanAbi cartoon. And it was a woke HasanAbi cartoon, but it was good. Disabled people exist in the real world. Black people, brown people exist in the real world. People with different marginalized backgrounds exist in the real world. And having them, in my opinion, be main characters that aren't exclusively there for that purpose is the greatest way to do it. And also on top of that, you need to make sure that, the content is good. For example, I think that while the new Game of Thrones is all right, it's never going to hit like the first, 4 or 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. It's all right. It's not bad. One of the great parts about it is that there is no like addressing that a character is black. There's black. That's it. It's great. Because guess what? It's fantasy. And in that situation, there need not be any sort of there need not be chattel slavery, right? It doesn't always have to address that there are black Targaryens. What's that about? We got to talk about this. It's like, no, we don't. Why would we? We straight up do not have to talk about that. Well, they're not even Targaryen. They're Valerian, right? On that front, I do actually legitimately like the way that they did it on Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? I think that that's fine. It's fantasy. They don't have to address it at all. And the characters are not there specifically to talk about blackness. You see what I'm saying? Or, if you have a disabled character, they're not there to specifically talk about being disabled, right? And what that means to them. And I think that's great. That's normal. That's how it's supposed to be. On top of that, it needs to be good, though.
They really are. And he said it best. You can believe in flying dragons and magic, but you can't believe he...
Yeah, I mean, that's also not that strange. It's ironic, but it's not that strange that people are open-minded about fucking insane things happening in their favorite fantasy genre, like dragons flying, like people killing multiple, all this shit, okay? But they cannot comprehend a world in which, black people are existing alongside white people. In the Hunger Games books, Rue was described as having dark brown skin and eyes. When a black actress was cast to play the canonically black character, there was enough of an outcry to make several news headlines. That's crazy, but not surprising. Ever since the release of Sandman, Neil Gaiman, the author who has refused any retelling of Sandman until he was absolutely certain it could be told according to his vision, has been battling racist, sexist, transphobic trolls who disagree with his vision. I give all the fucks about the work. I spent 30 years successfully battling Bat movies of Sandman. I give zero fucks about people who don't understand and haven't read Sandman whining about non-binary desire or that death isn't white enough. Watch the show and make up your minds. A Black Dream. What a great idea. I'll go back in time to successes that Neil Gaiman in 1988 right now. I love that the guy who made the fucking art, the guy who made the actual work, people are yelling at him. He's not even fucking dead. He's there. He's tweeting. He's tweeting through it. He's tweeting a defense of whatever the fuck he wrote. What the hell? That's insane. No one cares if your hair, eye color, or other physical characteristics are changed. People are specifically accept when canonical blackness isn't changed to be more appearing to white supremacist aesthetic. In conclusion, fuck every single bigot troll trying to add a layer of respectability to their constant, never-ending bitching and whining and attempts to force their racist, misogynistic, and transphobic politics of our entertainment down our throats. If you really want us to believe you just care about the author's vision, then maybe don't get all upset when a black actress is cast to play a canonically black character or a non-binary actor is cast to play a canonically non-binary character if you're pathetic piss baby losers. Well, they'll turn around and say, oh, well, you want to have it one way, but you can't have it the other. Which, again, in a world where 99.9% of the actors are sexy white men and women that are cis and het, what's the problem with having a little bit more diversity? I just don't understand it. Why? Why are you so bent is the real question. Bro, it's been too much. It's not little diversity. It's forced in every creative art. What do you mean forced? What do you mean forced? Why is it forced? It's only forced if you find it to be an eyesore or an aberration. You get that, right? That's more of a self-report on your behalf. I've never watched a show and been like, man, it really ruined the vibes for me when I saw a black person on screen. Like, what the fuck is that? It's just like it's a wild thing. Ultimately, we all want fucking good content, okay? I don't give a shit if every character is black or every character is white or whatever the fuck. Obviously, I say that because I do have that. I guess maybe it's because I just, I'm the default character regardless, right? I feel like it's more forced to exclusively use white people or other people exist in reality, so I want them involved too. Yeah, like I said, it does not matter to me. Diversity in media is the easiest to focus, easiest to consume when it's not the main focus. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. As far as diversity in media goes, I think people like entertainment for the sake of entertainment. They want it as a means of escape. They want to fucking use this as an opportunity to forget about how horrible their lives are or whatever. Nobody wants a lesson. Nobody wants to be like educated. Nobody wants a lecture when they're actually consuming content. So you just have to move away from the lecture side and make it fun. And that's it. That's the point. That's the whole thing. Art doesn't need politics. What do you mean? Art always is political, but art is never devoid of politics. Art's created by human beings, and human beings are political animals. You just don't understand context and subtext. You lack the analytical tools if you think that art is not supposed to be political, right? Like, my point is, The Boys, at least like season 1 and 2, great example of like a very political show, a very political piece of art that actually doesn't fully go along with the main body of work either. That is otherwise very fun to watch. It's a fun watch. And even the fucking chuds like it. One of the best parts about The Boys is like constantly talking and ripping into the pandering that like liberal media and the marketing machine engages in. Like, they do that all the time. And I love that. The Chuds review bombed season 3 on some episodes. I just didn't like season 3 as much. I thought it was mid.